into gaming and what's going on right now. So I've got a couple of talking points, and you guys are welcome to jump in and throw any of your own in as well. But one of the first things I wanted to touch on is what's new in gaming right now, and that's as far as everything, as far as pinball, arcade, console, whatever you're doing, that each of you are personally looking forward to, involved with, and that may pertain to content that's coming soon on your channel. So we can start down on the end here. Your Average Gamer, awesome to meet you and glad to have you on this thing. That's awesome. But yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you for the introduction. I'm Your Average Gamer, UAG, and my channel focuses around retro gaming and home arcade scene, mostly with home arcade one-up, stuff like that. Right? Would you say that, Rob?
I would say that's accurate.
I think so. And right now, I'm focusing on the new lineup. Every year they have a bunch of new games that come out, and I'm really, I guess, excited for the future of the company. Things are coming out like Blitz and Mortal Kombat just came out. A new way to play online because everything's been delisted. You can't go on Steam, you can't purchase it on Xbox or PlayStation. So this is your best way to be able to play online with people, bust Retro Ralph's ass or something like that. Yeah. Now Retro Ralph busts my ass, but yeah. So we'll do that with community. So that's pretty much the new stuff that I'm dealing with.
Nice. All right, I'll go next.
Yeah, man.
All right. Retro Ralph, I do mostly arcade stuff, so if you're into retro arcade gaming, I pretty much just do that on the channel. And I think lately what I'm excited about is just the idea that a lot of the game boards are starting to die, or they're unable to repair them, and so we're getting into this world where they're starting to do FPGA-based boards, which pretty much are indistinguishable from the originals. So it's a way to kind of keep these games living on for longer. So I'm starting to weave a little bit of that content into the channel. So for anyone that's trying to keep a game up and running, they can do it in a way that's more simple than having to repair the board themselves. So that's kind of like the newer thing I'm into. And then I was excited about the Poly Mega, but we can talk about that later. And I was super excited about the Television Amico. Really pumped up about that. So we'll have to definitely weave that into the conversation.
I think that's its own panel, but yes, there is still. I still think we should weave that in because I can throw my hat into that ring. So I am Emceemurr, and my channel focuses primarily on hunting and salvaging games, consoles, refurbishment, and the collection of such, as well as focusing on the profits and what these things are doing in the market right now. As far as what's new in gaming, what's on the horizon for me that I'm particularly excited about, and it's not something I lean in too hard on my channel because not everybody's into it, but oh my goodness, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 this year. Oh my goodness, we're getting it, and it's like, it's such a fantastic follow-up to what was an amazing product. Modern Warfare really hit some amazing points in its campaign, and it really put Warzone more on the map than it already was as far as a playable mode. And the multiplayer is still banging on Modern Warfare. So moving right into 2, I can't wait to see what they do with it this year. I think Sledgehammer really fell short with the World War II aspect. And we really asked for another one of those games last year. It's okay, but it ain't no Modern Warfare 2. So excited about the launch and everything leading up to that. The prospect of midnight launches, if there's going to be some. All the operator packs, battle pass, tier skips you can get with pre-ordering. I do tend to have a little bit of fun with that on the channel every year close to launch, just because it is something a lot of people are looking forward to. So that's my new thing that's on the way that I'm really jazzed for.
Are you concerned with the purchase, Microsoft purchasing that?
There's been a lot of acquisitions that they have done, and it is usually not for the better. I mean, when they acquired, Minecraft and all that, that certainly hasn't gone well. It certainly hasn't improved the product, but it's not a huge concern of mine. I mean, there's not much we can do about it, but I think that going forward. Call of Duty is just such a modeled product. It's something that's just, it's got a format, and I don't see it ever leaving that format. So I'd like to think it's safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am CaptNRetro. My real name's Kevin, and I'm an idiot. And I make a channel for idiots. I mainly arcade and pinball stuff. I'm the pinball guy at the table. I do repairs, restorations, customizations, modifications, rethemings, ground up builds, all kind of stuff for not only arcade machines and making multi-cades and stuff for people, or custom pinball machines. You got a theme you want to do, I'll help you make it. My channel basically consists of that. It originally started off as like Murr's channel, home console collecting and going to flea markets and scavenging and getting deals, and then I took a pile of about $20,000 worth of games and I sold them and bought my first pinball machines and went nuts doing that. And I've gone even more insane in the last couple of years going with pinball. The new thing on the horizon for me is pinball related. It's not necessarily new. There's a company called Multimorphic, P3 Multimorphic, and I really want to check out that Weird Al game they just put out. The Weird Al Yankovic got his own pinball machine, and I can't freaking wait to play one. Haven't seen one, there's not one here. Nobody brought a Multimorphic to this show. It's really kind of a cool machine though. At least the idea behind it is really cool, that it's a customizable, it's a game that you can pull out the playfield and pop out the brains and slap new brains and a new playfield back into it, and it's a touch screen on the field too, so the ball rolls over a screen that lights up and does things and has virtual targets on it, but then in the back of the playfield is an interchangeable piece that has ramps and ball locks and different mods and things on it for different games. And you buy one machine and at $7,000 or so, and then every time you want a new game, it's about $2,500 just to get the kit, just watch it and whip it out. But that's a lot cheaper than $7,000 per game, you know. I played the Multimorphic machine, a game called Heist and a game called Lexi Lightspeed, and I had a lot of fun playing those. I can't wait to play Weird Al. There's not a Weird Al here, so that doesn't help my cause. But that's my thing I'm most excited to play for. And the new Godzilla is freaking fantastic.
Isn't it?
Yes, that's really good. I had the cash, I'd have bought 2 of those already. So, but I don't. I buy them cheap and broken and make them work. That's what I do. What was you got more topics? You got more?
Well, yeah.
What we got?
Come on, Murr.
You know,
Yeah, you're in charge. we voted you in.
I also want to talk about what's going on currently with our channels, not just what's coming up, but what we're really leaning on, and if there is anything new and upcoming series-wise or content-wise that we need to be looking out for on these respective networks that we're doing. So, your average gamer, what have you got for us?
Well, currently, Saturday nights we do a thing called Laundromat Wars, and we kind of focus on, I would say, some subpar games.
Sure.
Games you might find in a laundromat, right?
Games that you
Yeah.
would find in a laundromat, like
That's cool.
Neo Geo fighting games, things like that. We actually have this thing called a Wheel of Death, and spin the wheel, and whatever game it lands on, we play against the community. So whoever's a viewer or whatnot could join in, hop in, show them their skills.
It's
We
mostly
use
fighting
fight
games, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly fighting games.
It's mostly fighting games, but we do gear into other things. Sometimes every now and then there's a shooter like Truck Sim or something like that, and we use Fightcade. Fightcade, is awesome. It's free. So the price of admission is awesome. It's really cool, and there's a lot of support. People in the retro game community. Like, there's actually a script. So you download this script, you pick a game, and it automatically downloads the correct ROM for you to be able to play. Just freaking awesome.
That's very cool.
It really is awesome. So every Saturday on my channel.
Nice. I guess I'll go next.
Yes, sir.
Alright, well, so YouTube's been a money-losing proposition for me mostly. I don't make any money on YouTube. I try to, I went to school for film, so I enjoy creating content. Like, it's one of my favorite things ever. Like, when I create something and publish it, I obsess about the comments. I like to see people enjoy something. Like, literally, that's what gets me excited. So,
Engagement.
I've tried, yeah, exactly. Like, seeing people actually be interested in the geeky stuff that I'm interested in. And I'm shocked because it was a friend of mine that actually said, hey, you should probably, like, you love arcade games, why don't you start talking about that more? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think really people care about this stuff anymore. Like, I didn't really do a lot of social media before YouTube, and that's only like almost 4 years ago. I really didn't touch Facebook, Twitter. I didn't even know how to, if you said I'm tweeting something, I wouldn't even know what that even meant. Like, I was pretty much idiotic. My kids tried to show me and I was like, whatever, didn't care. But like, when I started getting into it, I realized I had to leverage these things to kind of at least learn about what it is. But the thing that I love is really just the engagement. So I started doing the kind of things that interested me, but they were sort of related to like at-home products, and that's not really where my passion was. So I was like, well, I'm gonna start just getting in more into the arcade stuff and see how people enjoy it. And then that kind of morphed into, well, I've always wanted to do like television quality stuff. So I have a series called Chasing Nostalgia, which is really about why we love all this stuff. So it's mostly geared toward arcade gaming, but I've kind of branched out because I think the nostalgia thing is like anybody that collects anything, usually the whole root of it is usually nostalgia. So it's all about like why we love the things we love, and then kind of talking to the people that collect them and see like what drives or motivates them to collect. And it's almost always nostalgia. So it's kind of a stupid question, but it's like never ending though, because it's like whatever happened yesterday is going to be nostalgic the next day, right? So it's this never-ending cycle. But I just love creating longer form TV quality stuff, and YouTube is not necessarily the place for that, but I'm trying it out there, and I don't know, whoever watches and enjoys it is usually satisfying to me. Is pretty much it.
I think you've got the biggest channel of the four of us up here, right?
Yep.
Like subscriber-wise and view-wise, like you kill it. So I've been making arcade content on YouTube for 6 years and no one watches, you know what I mean? It's like I've got just at 2,800 subscribers, but I love making it because it's what I do, and my show is like a vlog about my life, and it happens to involve pinball and arcade, and if people watch along, that's amazing. But like when I watch something like you make, I'm like, I can't. The amount of time he must take to make these, like the overhead,
And the money.
He's got drones,
But
and he's
it's
got things.
awesome.
His show is incredible. Like it's well worth your time to watch. I feel like a punk when I'm like, I'm a YouTuber, and then people like him make stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm just a guy with a camera.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I watch your stuff and I'm like, dude, I wish I could. I can't doing this now. I can't do like I can't just go. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera on and go.
I had to stop. If you watch my original channel, I cut it. I was editing. I was shooting
So
things. I
much
went
work.
nuts, and I got sick of it real fast. It was like too much work, and I was like, I'm just gonna film, get a camera out, and talk behind it. And it's lazy man's YouTube, but my God, it's saving
But it's
so much
also
time.
like super raw. And I was watching one. I don't remember. It was maybe around a holiday. Like you guys were doing a cooking thing. Like, and I was like, this is awesome. You were like cooking cookies or a competition or
cupcakes.
something.
Cupcakes.
And I'm like, this is so cool. But the funny thing is I normally would be watching you to do some pinball or arcade stuff, but I'm like, dude, I'm kind of really interested in these cupcakes. Like, I want to know who's gonna win this. So it's like, you know.
She won. She beat me every time.
I didn't want to give it away.
Now, again, that's my channel. I don't subscribe to the whole algorithm thing of like I have to make this content. This is the only thing that's getting watched. I keep making this. I'm like, I'll be me, and people will either show up or they won't, and they haven't, which is fine. But like they do too. I get invited to do these things for some reason, and like people want to hear what I have to say, which is fun. And yeah, I really enjoy that making aspect too. But I got really simplified after burning out on going hardcore and not getting a lot of engagement, even though I felt like I was top notch making what I was making. Then again, go back and watch your channel from 3 years ago. You'll be sick of everything you put out. So that's, you go back and watch after a year, like, oh, I should never have released that. This is terrible.
It's so true.
Yeah, a lot does change in 3 years.
His channel, like
He got
dude,
featured.
is the skill. He was a Creator of the Month on YouTube.
Yeah, he
like,
got featured on
Gaming
YouTube Creator. I'm
Creator.
like, whoa.
That was
That's
a
pretty
complete
cool.
blindside in the best way possible. And you get an email and you're like, you're getting fished, right?
Oh, so
His channel-
so they didn't just do it. They reached out to you and said, we're
They
featuring
said,
you.
get ready, because this is about to drop on your head. Was
Oh, that's
literally
cool.
the
Yeah, they
theme of
warned
the
you.
email, which I think that's something like a lot of people probably wonder how that whole thing works. I don't mind sharing a little bit about that. They were like, you need to get your game face on because poop's fixing to slap the fan. That's literally what the email was like. Put your best stuff up front, get those playlists ready. That was basically the gist of it. Now, what gets interesting about it is you don't have a say in what they put on that bar, because when you are the creator of the week or whatever, or the creator on the rise, there's that bar when you go under trending.
Yeah.
It's like all the things they're telling you to watch, and it's usually some pretty big stuff, and you're on it, so you're getting smacked. Like everybody can see front and center what you're doing. They picked 2 episodes of Flea Market Flippin', which I'll just go ahead and talk about those 2. That's my flagship title, as you well know. That's my flagship series, the flea market show. They picked 2 episodes from that weren't even at the flea market. There was a thrift store episode and a pawn store. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm honored that it happened. I'm really just trying to touch on the fact that you don't have a lot of control over it. So it was like this big wave that you catch and you're trying to hang on. They also really honed in on my Is This Still Online series, which is something I really low-key do, but something that's had a lot of low-key, slow-burning success because people are looking.
Yeah.
When you're creating content, you know the first thing that you got to make your title say is what they're typing in. Is Mass Effect 3 still online? That's something that somebody's going to search.
Yeah, sure.
So that series has done real well, but it tickled them apparently at Team YouTube. They picked out a clip of the one I did on Black Ops 2 on the Wii U. Spoiler alert, it is still online, live and kicking, and really good with the pad too. The interface is so unique to that console. But they did a whole little thing, like they did their own little private edited Cliff's Notes version of it and tweeted it. So that went pretty wild on Twitter, which they said they were going to do that too. I'm like, well, what day are they going to tweet me? You know, I'm just kind of like waiting with bated breath. What's going to happen next? But it was a marvelous experience.
Watching your channel grow has been a marvelous experience for me as a friend. I've known Andy since 4th grade. Me and him grew up together.
I didn't know that. That's
we-
cool.
we have some
figured
history.
You guys were because you're in, like, you make little cameos.
Yeah,
in your own.
Well, we found each other through YouTube again.
We lost touch for a little over 15
years. We didn't
That's
throughout high school,
awesome,
after
man.
college,
That's
and
cool.
then he hit me up one day. He's like, "Is this you on this YouTube video, or whatever it was?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." And he's like, "I do the same thing."
We ended
and
up
his
in the
channel
same place.
Andy was very not technically savvy to begin with. Didn't know the editing, didn't know the cameras, didn't know. But like, dude, his channel, you watch it right now, you would have no idea that he just started doing it like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like really hardcore learning how to do it. It eclipsed my channel. I was ahead of him with subscribers for so long, and I was all like smug about it. And then he's like 8,000, he's encroaching in on 10 right now. And I'm like, dude, you're killing my channel. I love it. I'm so happy for you. Like it's fun to watch Andy's channel get thousands of views, and that's what you want done, you know?
It's what you
It's
want
what
done.
you want done.
And I also can't deny the fact that Retro Rick, out of nowhere, gave me a shout out.
John Riggs
did as
he did
well.
that for me about.
I gotta tell you a funny Retro Rick story.
Okay,
If you
yeah.
don't mind, it just shot to my mind. So I'm at Pinball Expo in Chicago, and this little kid comes up to me. He's like he's maybe like 12, and he goes, "Hey, come here." I'm all, okay. He goes, "Are you Retro Rick?" And I was like, "No." but I do know him. I go, "I know him." He's like, "So you're not him?" I was like, "No, I'm not him." And he seemed totally uninterested. He's like, this 12-year-old. He goes, "Do you do YouTube?" I go, "Yeah," but he goes, "What do you do?" And I said, "Arcade stuff." He's like, "So you don't do consoles?" I was like, "No." And he was like completely like just wanted to leave. And I go, "Hey, I don't know what made me think this, because it was weird because a week before that, I had got Retro Rick's number from Aaron from Pixel Game Squad.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna contact him for something. So I go, "Well, I have his number now." I had never called him. I was like, "Should we call Retro Rick?" He's like, "You don't have Retro Rick's number." So I pull up my phone and I FaceTime Retro Rick, and I'm like, if this guy picks up, this kid is gonna be like completely excited.
Oh, man,
this
yeah.
kid flipped out, and he took my phone like from my actual hand. He goes,
man.
"Oh my God, Retro Rick, I'm the biggest fan." He goes, "Can I show you my game collection?" And he's walking off like he didn't even
Bro,
care. He
my
just took my phone, and I was like, are you gonna subscribe to my channel too?" Like, it was really funny.
Yeah,
but,
give me something out of
But
it.
the kids love the
Had you been on Rick's channel?
No.
How did he know? Like he had to know you were a YouTuber somehow.
I don't know. I mean,
That's
I don't look like him, but it's funny
No,
because
no.
then now Aaron is like, he calls me like Retro Rick's uncle or Retro Rick's father. I'm like, dude, I'm not that much older, because they're like all, I think we're
They're
all probably,
babies.
are we all pretty much in our 40s?
I turned 44 today.
I'll be
I'm
44
43.
next
Happy
month.
birthday,
So,
by the
yeah.
way.
Right.
Okay, all right. So like we're all in our 40s.
Yeah,
So
we've been dating
they're
since
like,
it was real.
they're like in their mid 30s. So it's weird. 'Cause
Yeah.
I even went out with like Aaron to one of his flea market things, and it was funny. The stuff they were picking up and they were nostalgic for, even though we're only like 5 or 6 years apart, so different than what I would
So
pick up.
different. Yeah. It's
Like,
it's the
completely.
difference between 80s and 90s nostalgia.
Totally.
You know, and you bring up Pixel Game Squad. They're really cool too. You know,
Yeah,
also
good
guys
guys.
that are very supportive of the the up and comers under them. But yeah, Retro Rick, man, I had no idea he was going to do that. So I was
That's
very
cool.
appreciative of that and a lot of respect for
Same
him
thing with
for doing
Riggs.
that.
When Riggs gave me a shout out, and then
And Riggs, yeah,
John
very
Riggs is good
supportive.
people. It's helped my channel a lot to have friends that are bigger than my channel. You know what I mean? I don't think it's brought me any subscribers really. Like Emceemurr gave me a shout out 2 days ago on a video, 3 days ago, and it hasn't moved the number at all. But like, it's nice that I'm in good with them. I'm friends with the Game Chasers. I knew them before they were doing YouTube. I knew Billy from doing movie stuff years ago. I work in film and TV. And so I was like, y'all are doing a show too? Oh my God, we're all chasing video games like a bunch of 10-year-olds? Which apparently we are. Oh, my father's calling. Y'all want me to take this phone call live? This will be good. My dad's
Oh,
phone.
it's great.
Hello, you're live on a panel in the middle of a gaming convention. Say hi.
Hello. What are you talking about?
Nothing important, just gaming stuff, being a nerd, what it's like to be a nerd.
I mean, nerds are with you.
A lot of nerds. A room full of nerds in here.
So I do want to circle back through. So your average gamer on the laundromat thing you're doing, that sounds like something that will eventually really start yielding like a community as far as like in the episodic sense. Are you seeing community and stuff build up around those episodes as you're going with it as a series so far?
We actually are. We're seeing a ton of growth. Which, you know, it's cool to see people that you see on other people's channels interact. And we do a lot of live streaming, so live active chat.
How does that go for you? Is the live streaming worth it? Because I did a lot and it didn't seem like my channel pushed any needles doing any of that. And I felt like I was just burning my tires doing live on YouTube. On Twitch, it seems to work. Twitch, I've got a good little following on Twitch, but
Actually, it's been pretty rewarding in a sense. We've been seeing a lot of growth in terms of the subscriber base and just a lot of activity. You see it. We kind of thrive ourselves on community, like having people be active, whether it's playing on the arcade one-ups or the Fightcade. We went towards this laundromat thing because the price of admission to play on an arcade one-up, it could be anywhere from $500 to $700
Sure.
to play. But Fightcade, you could basically run this on a potato, and it really is cool to be able to do so. And we've been seeing a lot of people come in every week, and it's been growing each week it goes on. So we're like about, I want to say like 10 episodes in.
Okay.
And the man over there at OTG, he's one of the people that actually are on the panel. And so it's kind of cool to see.
Also a
how
channel
it
I
grows.
really enjoy. This is a funny guy right here. This guy has made a lot of my days.
The thing he's not,
Funny,
one
funny
thing he's
stuff.
not saying is that their community, they have like this micro niche of arcade stuff where it's like, I don't know what they did, but the arcade one-up community just started live streaming like crazy. And so live streams, it's like their preferred method
That's
almost.
something, yeah.
Like it's become, like it's kind of crazy actually, because most other niches, like if I go live on my channel, usually it's not that great. But he can go live on his channel and pull like 100+ people pretty easily. That's a
great
lot of
numbers,
people
yeah.
on a live stream.
It
Especially
is.
so the subscriber base that I have, I don't have a huge amount. I'm like 3,000, right? So to be able to pull 100 people, where
That's a
I
lot.
have, you know, friends that have like 20,000, and they probably get 20, 30 people live on a stream. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think you guys build a cool community where they, you know, and it's weird because like some of them, I feel like with what you guys are doing, they're bringing up games that like no one plays, like Bloodstorm.
I
Like
love
no
that.
one.
I
had one of those and
did you cat for a while? It's a great game.
Yeah,
It's
like-
the worst Mortal Kombat ripoff and the best Mortal Kombat ripoff at the same
But I
time.
mean, it's like time killers, these games
that's
that
a great
people
game,
don't
too.
play. But it's cool to see you guys bringing these like new attention to games that, by the way, that Paul, I forget his last name.
Niemeyer.
Yeah, Niemeyer. Paul Niemeyer, who was here today, did a panel about his artwork. He did the artwork for Time Killers. Although I don't know if he really wants to talk about that, but he did the artwork for Time Killers.
You might want to talk about. You know, that segues too though into when I first found your channel, you were making these moves, and I was like, this guy's making some moves. You were at a CES, if my memory serves me correctly, and you got in with Arcade One Up. Not saying you were in cahoots with them, but you were.
I was in cahoots.
Well,
with that.
you, okay, you did say you were.
Definitely.
You were where you needed to be, right? And it was at a time that stuff was really ramping up because, you know, you and I did some talking too about.
We talked shit about it.
Yeah. There's a video where CaptNRetro says, I can swear in here, right?
Of course, I think Molly's in
Alright,
here. Molly's in
sorry.
here.
He's all, yeah, I'm in front of an X-Men right now, a real X-Men. Yeah, you can buy a real X-Men for $300, unlike those pieces of, you know. And then the video ended, I was like, all right.
That's the name of the video too. It's like
But what I was driving at is,
Was-
I think it was helpful to you to
Oh,
lean in on that,
100%.
because and like you were talking about, I
Well, I saw the other
hesitate to
side.
call arcade content niche. It shouldn't be, but we are a generation that's fading further and further into the past. And if people can't buy it at Walmart day one, there is a certain disconnect now with the community. So Arcade 1-Up has a value to it.
I have a question for Cap. Do you think that Arcade 1-Up brought some awareness to?
Oh, I do not disagree that Arcade One has blown the doors wide open on the public's knowledge, the general population's knowledge of, hey, there's old arcade games we can play. Like, it's cool to go, I think they're cute, the size of them is perfect, like, if they were made with better materials, better controllers, better hardware, like, I'd be into it. But like, it's chintzy Chinese crap that if I played a Mortal Kombat against you at the same machine, it better be beefed up because it's gonna get broken. Like, I play too hard, I'm just too hard on the controllers. So, and when you walk by Walmart and you see them all like that artwork fading off and the controller's broken, the screen's not working, that's your display model, like, I don't like that. I wish they would, I don't know what to say, other than I think they should put better, if you're gonna charge somebody $700 for something, it should be worth $700, and not
Yeah.
a $200 box that you paid $700 for.
Well, in the wake of our podcast,
I just bought
I did that one night. What started for me was a commenter in that podcast who basically said, listen, the Asteroids one is $150 at Walmart right now. Why don't you just get it, get your feet wet, and then give us an honest review on it? So I said, okay, $150. I'll
Well,
put
yeah,
my
because we
money
didn't
where my
own
mouth
one, yeah,
is.
we didn't buy one before we did.
Not that we didn't know what was going on with it.
but
We
played
did.
them.
We had made
I played
videos
them.
of the broken ones at Walmart. We're just kind of laughing about it. But I was like, you know what? I like Asteroids. I'll go spend $150 on a machine, and I did. And there were some warranty issues, and there were some other things. But I guess where I'm going with that is, it was content that worked. And then I started getting a little bit of attention on that. So I ended up on a 1-Up kick for a little while. Not trying to be hypocritical of it, because as time went on, as they released things like the Final Fight, the Mortal Kombat, the Golden Axe, I feel like we saw a little bit better quality.
Yeah,
and
sure.
now we're actually seeing appreciation even on some of the cabinets, which was not
I
part of the
didn't
deal.
expect that, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
Did
some
not
of the
think that was
actual,
gonna happen.
Trying
Resale
to
value.
be more authentic, kind of more authentic, yeah.
But did you feel on your channel that when you got into that was a huge push that you needed, that optimization, that those keywords helped pull people in for viewers just as a whole for everything that you were gonna be doing,
It
for
did,
the.
but I didn't know, like, honestly, it was as basic as a friend of mine, I had bought the Street Fighter one, it was like October of 2018. It was like when they first came out. I even convinced the guy at the store manager of the Walmart to give it to me before it came up with the, like, can't sell it yet.
Oh, man.
And I got it, and I had been collecting PCBs for years, so I was collecting real game boards. And I was telling my friend, I was like, hey, I bought one of those arcade 1-Ups, and I put it on, played it once, and then I ripped everything out and then put like other stuff in it. And I go, do you think people would think that's cool to like turn them into something else?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
he goes, yeah. He goes, well then just make a channel that you do that. So I started doing that, but then where it got weird for me, and I would suggest this to anybody doing YouTube, is I got too close to the manufacturer where I started, like, my opinions were 100% tainted by the fact that someone gave me something for free. So I felt like my credibility was going downhill because I was like, just saying the things, like I knew, like I had got one to review and I knew the joystick was screwed up and I was like, nah, the people buying these, I literally was kind of arrogant. I was like, the people buying these aren't gonna know any different, and I didn't even bring it up. Well then,
I think in some cases they may not, I don't mean that in an ugly way, I just mean, again, we're talking about on down the line,
Yeah.
people that they weren't in arcades in the 80s, they might have been in diapers.
well,
in the
it
80s.
was. I remember it was Burger Time, and they put an 8-way stick in a
Oh,
Burger
man.
Time.
Yeah, that
So
was
if you
rough.
try to play Burger Time with an 8-way stick, you try to go up, down, left, right, but it doesn't register the inputs right. So you're like thinking you're going right, but it's registering it as a diagonal. So like you can't go
You're not
right.
moving.
And I'm thinking, no one's gonna really care. So I don't even talk about it. Then this was when the arcade one was like really blowing up, and then someone came out with like a, I don't know. What is it? Restrictor gate, which is
Yeah.
like to like Watergate, but whatever, stupid. So so it became this whole thing. But long story short, it totally helped build the channel. So I'm grateful for the fact that I used it to really talk about what I want to talk about. And there's nothing wrong with that. Someone having a channel, not you. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
someone
no,
having a
not
channel
me.
that's based on that. It's just for me that was never really my intention. It just became a catapult thing. Like I got really lucky. It was right place, right time. And,
Right product.
Yeah, and it was, and even now.
And be nice about them because I was a dick.
And I think there were actually videos, and I didn't know you were yet. I'm like, man, this CaptNRetro guy really hates this
He's
shit.
an asshole.
He would come
You
in
see
and
his tweets? Wow.
He'd come in and be like, yeah, this is the biggest piece of crap. I have no idea why I did this video. I'm out.
I think that online aspect, that's really interesting to me,
channel
that
in a
there
nutshell.
is a community building up around that and that there's merit to streaming that stuff. I'll be honest, I wasn't up on that was really going on. That's actually fascinating.
There's a huge, I will say, they have built, like the OneUp community has built this community where live streaming is the preferred method of consumption. It's crazy. Where like, you know, if you and I went live right now, we would get okay viewership, but it
It's been
wouldn't
a
be
long
what
time
they're
since
getting.
I've done it.
They're getting huge views. It's pretty cool,
There's
actually.
pretty much a show dedicated to Arcade One Up.
Like
each
every
day
week,
of the
multiple.
Oh, so there's a million of them.
It's amazing that anybody ever watches my channel with it, how much content is put up on YouTube in a single day. It's like 6 years worth of content on every day. It goes up. It's like, how
Well, I
did
also
anybody
wanted
ever
to
see that?
segue into something on your channel where, and you know, I talk to you a lot of times about trying to vamp on the SEO on those keywords of
I
Arcade
just
One
don't
Up.
want to. I'm against the algorithm. I'm like,
They'll come to me and they'll find me because they like me. It has nothing to do with that.
But you had some success on a episode in the not too distant past where you uncovered this barn,
oh yeah.
and it was
Honey hole.
a barn with, I mean, there had to be at least 50, 60 units in there.
It was 33.
Okay,
33
it's
games.
counting after 10.
33 games for $2,000, and it was
Well, I don't know if I
outstanding.
watched that.
Oh
That's
man, go
pretty
back.
crazy.
That was last year, last January or something like that.
He's had to get multiple
April.
storage lockers just to
To fill up
contain
it was $2,000.
his stock.
$2,000 for 33 machines, and it was a Popeyes
how many
and
were working?
Cuberts and
Wow,
Tempest
that's
and
great.
Pac-Mans and
How many were
Donkey
working? Yeah,
Kong.
that's a good question.
working. Straight plugged them in and got them without even cleaning them, just plugged them in and tested them. Probably about
That's
10 of them started
awesome
right
right
up.
there.
And
Still,
then the rest
yeah.
of them were like a couple loose cables, a couple things here, a board that needs a wire rebuilt.
Well, like Hubert alone is more than 22 grand.
Oh, dude, I made about $45,000 off that.
That's
entire
awesome.
You had a burger time.
What was the
in there.
wasp spray budget?
Zero. Zero. There were a couple dirt dauber nests, but there were zero wasps, but the rat poop.
Oh.
The rat poop
I
was
bet that
everywhere and it
was
was thick.
impressive,
And
yeah.
it took
Yeah,
a lot to
'cause
clean
that's
up.
where you found the burger time and then the meteor.
Yes, the only reason I wanted the whole lot was for the pinball machine, really, the meteor that was in there. And
But it does
I had to buy
suggest
everything to
that,
get it, you know what I mean?
That's an awesome
That
story.
there is a viewer base when you're talking that kind of volume. It's the score. You know, that was one amazing score, and you do a lot of amazing scores that sometimes I think go under the radar. So I hope that a lot of that does pick up. But
I would wish,
people
you
do
know-
need to be looking at what you're doing, because some of the stuff, not even some of it, all.
Can I ask,
the
how
machines
did-
you're finding?
How did you get tipped off on that?
I was driving home from delivering pinball machines to Arizona and California, or New Mexico and California, and then I visited my director buddy in California, and on the way back through Alabama, I was hunting, and it just popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like Johnny on the spot right there next
So
to
did you actually like rent
The
something?
next
to
day,
take
I went and
home?
got a U-Haul. and came
That's
back,
awesome.
You made multiple trips.
Yeah. I
did you
made two
not?
trips to go get them all. Yeah, we had to get
Iron
a
Man
U-Haul and then a
cabinet
trailer behind
lift.
the truck.
I'm sorry, this is wicked off topic, but one video you did that I can't get out of my head because I was like, is this damn thing gonna start? Was the camper
The
that's
RV?
stuck with That's like one of my favorite episodes. I'm watching his channel, I'm like,
Was it the snake?
it was this
There's a snake
camper in
that
the
goes
middle of the. Wait, what is
Her,
that?
it was her mom and dad's. Her stepfather had bought it, and then something happened with the. It was overheating, and he parked it on their family's land up in the mountains. And then her uncle was getting ready to build a new house up there on the property, and needed to go on off the road, and they were just, come get it, you can have it. And I was like, well, we'll try and start it. And 3 episodes later, we got it started.
I was like, actually, see that kind of stuff though. I was like, okay, when's the next episode? Because I gotta see if he gets this thing out of here.
Well, I did. It's a full episode. I drove it down the mountain. The brakes were a little bit scary.
It was awesome.
It was a
That
34-foot
sucker was
Winnebago.
doing 80.
Yeah.
It was doing 80.
I thought I was
He
doing
thought
like
it was doing
45.
Yeah, he thought he was doing 35.
That was a
and he
fun
was
episode.
booking it once we got it down.
Yeah, and then I ended up, we cleaned it out. I cleaned it up real good and
But
sold
definitely go watch that third
Free, I was
episode
doing it
because
free,
of
I
the
sold it.
snake.
it. Yeah, there's a.
I don't think I watched the third
There's
one.
like
No,
a
you need to
15-foot
see it.
snake, dude. We're in there messing around, and my buddy John is the mechanic, and he's helping fix the engine. He's in there by himself, and the engine's inside. You know all those things. You gotta open up a little compartment. And he's digging around, and like above the dash, a snake comes
Yeah,
right.
behind-
no.
He's like, huh? And he like bugs out, and I wasn't filming at that point, but I get my camera and I'm like, look at this snake. And it goes up over the dash and then wiggles its way.
I love how we who do this will completely like not ignore the fact that someone might be in danger to film something. Don't do. Check this out.
I'm like, no, it's gotta get the camera to highlight that
You know
video.
what, the best part, the best part,
That's like you with the bat.
the
Like,
best part.
You would be freaking out, but no, let me get the camera,
Yeah.
I gotta catch you, I
No,
gotta
he
get
threw
this
the
on- I gotta
camera
get this
to
on
me.
camera.
It's
Yeah, I'm like,
He
you
threw
filmed
it to
this.
me, and I had the camera, and he goes off with this big stick, and he's like, I'm gonna get it. And all of a sudden, he comes running back. It was poking its head out at me. And he was screaming like a little girl and
Yeah, it's
running. It
pretty
was
sorry.
great.
I would've
Did you film that?
like that.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all on
it's
that
all
episode.
on
You
that
can,
episode.
you can watch the snake scare me half to death.
It's
About a 15-foot king snake. Was
Yeah, it was a black snake. I'm gonna
king.
clip it.
I don't think they're poisonous, but it was.
Yeah.
How do you know when there's one, there's more? You know what I mean? There was probably
Yeah.
another one in that RV the whole
We
drive
think-
home.
we
I don't
think
know. I
there's
just
like
was.
three
praying
that
and
came out of
driving.
here.
Did that video do well?
It did okay, you know.
Like I almost
Nothing
feel
I
like
make does well.
I
It
almost
does
feel like if
okay.
that video was like embedded into an arcade video, you could completely like meld those two things together.
Again, I know what to do on YouTube, but I refuse. I'm that guy.
It's a lot of work.
I just make what I want, and you can either watch it or not. That's how I feel. I'm like, I'm not here to chase an algorithm. I'm not. My channel is about my life, which is insane, and it's because I want it that way. I do what I want, and I film what I want, and I do what I want.
Well, I find it entertaining.
I do too. That's why
I find your life entertaining.
I think I'm the only one who watches my show. I really sometimes.
You know, often from a creator standpoint though, making content and what comes next, it's a lot like giving your dog his medicine and a piece of cheese. Sometimes if you want to feature something like you said, you're gonna have to tie it into something
yeah.
that's already being done because there's a certain amount of relevance that won't be there if you don't. There's a certain amount of disconnect that's gonna exist if you don't. So that kind of moves us right into my next talking point. Is our channel's strategies for the foreseeable future, you know, the near future or beyond just what's coming up as far as growth, the next steps, because we're all trying to get to that next step. What are some of our strategies going forward? We'll start with your average gamer. What are you outlining? What are you thinking for the foreseeable future? Is it the same as what you're currently doing, or are there some other things you're thinking of branching out on? Let us know what's going on.
In my channel and the niche that I'm in, it's really about what's the next thing, right? So what's the next arcade one-up that's gonna be coming out? What, because
Didn't they just
everybody's
cancel
picking
one?
it up.
They just canceled something, right? Some kind of collector's edition
Well,
they were gonna do.
If you listen to Rexer,
Yeah.
which has
Which is insane too. It shows. That guy
he's
talk about
just the
not
biggest
giving a
hater on arcade
fuck.
one-up.
Zero fucks to give.
Ever.
He's called people out.
That's so accurate.
Goes on Twitter and twits at him. I'm like, good lord, he's trying to get bit. I got bit by the YouTube Mafia 3 years ago for saying some shit on the live stream that I shouldn't have said. And I was on Screenwave Media at the time. I was part of that media group, and they just like blackballed that guy. I think that's why my channel's stuck at like 2,800 subs because they said, no, cut it off. He said too much.
He claims that you know the pro cabinets will be canceled, and I think it's delayed because
Right.
of all you know the
Parts
circumstances that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you know, in my channel, I kind of get ahead of the curve, like what's going to be the next thing before it actually.
You
drops.
truly are in like, I mean, it's not, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but you are in like a kind of a keep up with the Joneses kind of thing. Like you almost have to
Yeah.
to keep it going, right? Don't you think?
I basically like I have to always be like 5 steps ahead. Like what is going to be the next thing, and talk about that before it dies out because it dies out fast.
I think it's great though that you have that blessed assurance, if you will, that there is a next thing. I mean, I think they've done better as a company than I think any of us even would have foreseen them doing it. And there's still so much coming right now. I mean, there was just a new Street Fighter in my email, the one they're doing, that's the Turbo. So again,
3 years ago, you probably would have thought like this was it. They're gonna come out with this Street Fighter and this, you know, Pac-Man, and that's it. But you know, 3 years later, we're talking about tons of cabinets, and this is probably like their biggest year of like new IP, reissue IP, and what's going to come. Like you know, there's a bunch of leaks and stuff like that. So I think next year will actually be.
At the same time, so they seem to be selling shit.
I don't think so because you know the price went up, and people are still buying it.
No, dude,
and
that's
that's
the
right.
thing.
That's the crazy part.
It is.
They've even overplayed their hand a little, in my opinion, and it hasn't mattered. So that's a good sign, right?
We always say like you could just like put a turret on a control panel and people will buy it. Like I don't know why they'll buy it if it says Arcade 1 up on it. I
And
don't
honestly,
get
I'm
it
not even
actually,
talking
but-
bad about it. That new Street Fighter actually looks pretty good.
The
I'll
first
have
run
to really
machines-
resist that.
The
but-
first run of those were like $300, $299, $99.
$299, yeah.
And what's the
And now we're at
latest in the
$7.99
sevens?
on some of them if you're talking about
Buy a
big
real
book
game.
hunter rifles or any
Yeah,
extra,
yeah.
peripheral nonsense that you gotta have.
I haven't played their virtual pinball yet. I do like virtual pinball because it'll teach the game.
You probably should.
No, I'm betting.
The thing I'll give you a forewarning on that, if you play that on like a PC before,
Yeah.
it's hard to go back. But if you never,
If you
Never
never played
if you
virtual
don't
pinball.
even know anything about it,
and you
then I
play
think
it, it's
you'll
a
find
fun
it okay.
experience. It's a fun experience.
Okay, so
That
leave it alone.
You would not, if you told me, like, you would not be a prime candidate to play it. 'Cause
Yeah.
You already play real pinball. Like,
It's hard to go
yeah.
from real pinball and that speed to go to a virtual pinball.
Well, I mean, some
You can't
virtual
gather
pinball's
that.
fun. I have a good time with Pinball FX3 and, systems like that. There's some good stuff, but again, it'll just teach you the game. It's the physics.
I
will
think
never
that's
be
the best
same.
part. Like
So-
you learn the rules.
Yeah, learn the rules, and then when you
Yeah.
find a real one in WoW, you can beat it up. And you know what you're doing. You don't have to stand there like an idiot and read the instruction board.
So Ralph,
wait
we've
for
had
Steven,
some,
just watch what Steven shoots for, and I'm like, shoot for the nutsack, okay? Shoot for the nutsack, shoot for the nutsack. And we were just playing the Mandalorian, he's got this little nutsack hanging on the truck. The truck nuts.
Ralph, you've had some heat with the Chasing Nostalgia, with just incredibly
It's a
done.
great show.
I'm a big fan of anything that's done that well. It wouldn't even really matter
It's
what you were
TV
doing.
quality
but
stuff, like you
yeah.
said. I mean, I can see it on
That
History
keeps
Channel.
being there. But
Nice show.
that and amongst other things, you've also done some pretty killer restorations. You've had that Road Blaster thing you're working on, and that was a really cool unit.
He can't stand road blasters, so I don't want to trigger him. So we'll talk about.
Everybody has their trigger. I get that.
He gets
I
really
get that.
upset.
But what's next for you, strategy-wise? What are we going to see in the foreseeable future?
I
for the
honestly
Retro
am
Ralph show?
pretty, real talk, I'm actually pretty burnt out on YouTube, but I still enjoy the creative process of it, so I've slowed down a lot. I think the reason why the channel grew, and I don't know, this is my theory, I have no idea. I was doing 2 videos a week, it was totally scheduled, I never ever didn't do that. It was 2 videos,
At
and
the
it
same
was
time each week.
it was super
Okay.
consistent. The
There's
first
my
2
problem.
years, it was super consistent, and it was just a friend of mine who goes, "The only way it's gonna work is if it's consistency." And so now I can't do 2 videos a week and do like normal life. I just
Preach.
can't. I have kids. I have a daughter in college. Like I want to be present as an actual father. So it's like really difficult to do all that and try to maintain the YouTube stuff. So I've gone down to 1 video a week, and I really just enjoy the longer form content. So I think for me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to focus on lesser videos, but more, even upping the quality more. I enjoy that. The only downside is it gets kind of expensive to do that, because if I want to do a series that I have to go fly somewhere, like I have to incorporate all that into the cost of what
Sure.
what the outcome's gonna be. So I really enjoy those kinds of things. So I'm gonna probably continue to do all the arcade stuff, and the only real tough part is it's kind of seasonal in Arizona because I don't have air conditioning in my garage. So like to work in my garage, it's like 140 degrees inside the garage. So I have to kind of figure out, like, I recently did a video on the history of Street Fighter Rainbow, which is like a hack. It was a Taiwanese hack. Thanks. Yeah, it was a hack. It was this Taiwanese hack that sped up the game, and they would go sell like ROM chips to an arcade and say, yeah, they would. They'd be like, hey, we can upgrade your game. It's the new Street Fighter, and they didn't know, and they'd buy these chips and upgrade the game. And so like that was a filler. It's not content I usually do. So I'm trying to figure out how can I maybe make some gaming history stuff, which is not what I normally do. It's hard to do though, because you have to get it right. Because you guys know, if you do one thing in your video, you can do everything right and do one mistake, and the comments you're gonna get are about your mistake. so history is tough. So like guys like the gaming historian, like the fact that he does one video every like couple months or something, but all the time and effort that goes into that. So I'm trying to mix it up, like do some history stuff, still do the restorations, but too, like sometimes you get a cabinet to restore and it's not exactly what you thought you were getting sometimes. Like I'll do the cheap stuff too, but then you'll be like, oh crap, like everything about this cabinet sucks. It's like now you're getting out a bucket of Bondo to fix it. So it's just, Yeah, anyway, I don't know if I really answered the question. I'm gonna do more of
No,
the
you did,
same
you
and
did.
then some, like, try to mix it up a little bit. But
It's a long answer, you know, it's not something that you can answer short. I mean, if you're doing it right, you've got
can I add one
strategies.
thing to it though?
Add to
I
it.
am terrified of changing what I do. So like arcade, I feel like people really, it took a long time when I went from Arcade 1-Up to real arcades, there was a bunch of people that like unsubscribed right away. They were like, oh, we're not interested in that. So it took about 1.5 years to get this newer audience. So like guys like, if you follow arcades, like John's Arcade is this huge channel.
He doesn't make content anymore.
Yeah, and I want
Good-
his,
good
like,
dude.
I know it sounds messed up, but I want people that watch him to watch me. Like, I want them to go, hey, I'm not John's Arcade, but maybe I can fill your void a little bit. So, you know, but I'm terrified to do something different. Like, I love console gaming, but if I do a console video, I guarantee you no one will watch it. The people that watch aren't interested in it for some reason. That's frustrating.
It's a frightening step to take, and then I can segue into where I'm at right now, where I have this great viewer base that I'm so thankful for, but to expand outside of, you gotta wonder, has it peaked? Is this the viewer
Have you
base?
reached the maximum?
And
Yeah.
if it's not gaining more viewership, then what's the next move? Because you do have, as a creator, the proverbial bird in the hand. You can't just drop it and start doing something else, even if you mix it in and do them side by side.
Sure you
Because, well, you can, but
If it's not gonna get seen.
there's
you
that
can do it.
algorithmic death, because you have your CTR, you've got people when they're skipping what you're doing that would normally be watching, and what that does, and that's another panel in and of itself. But
Yeah.
strategies for me personally, I'm staying the course because I said that I would, at least until the first quarter of next year. I want to hit 10K.
Nice.
I think we're on course to do that. I think that flea market flipping can do that. There's a lot of people that are into it. It's growing, maybe not as quick as I'd like, but the people that are into it, and I definitely don't want to sidestep it for anything else. Still tweaking format with it, and I think that's helped it, mature as a series to do as well as it is currently doing. Because I can look back just at the beginning of the series, which wasn't that long ago, and it's nowhere near the quality that it is now.
I like that you're focused on you show everything that you got, and then you're showing like what the value is, and I think people
sales.
love that stuff. Like they love to know that you got this deal that can translate into something much more. Like
Sure.
people are obsessed over that kind of stuff. So
I don't want to step away from my other stuff either. I've got a few other series that I do that, you gotta look at the fact that they gained viewers, that you gain viewership, and if they were only there for that and you don't do it anymore, that starts to be a frightening thing as well. I mentioned the Is This Still Online? And everybody that watches that wants updates on those things, but they're getting flea market flipping every week, I gotta wonder, I gotta do something for those
yeah, like
people.
are they gonna watch that? Yeah.
But you talked about, you're only one person, and if you're only getting one video a week at best, that gets tough to do. I'm also still gonna lean in places on game reviews, because I've had a relationship with NIS America for a long time that predates anything that I'm doing, and they've been amazing and really contributed to a lot of growth on the channel. You do get into niche JRPGs at that point, but I love them. It's one of my favorite genres and one of my favorite publishers. We're gonna do a few things from them this year, and people are just gonna have to buckle up for that, because I don't wanna stop doing that. It does well when I do it. So staying the course, but I'm still trying to make sure that I keep my milk stool resting on 3 legs, if you will, which is the flea market flipping. I've got the free games at GameStop all year challenge that we've been doing. That was a Hail Mary. I wasn't sure how that was gonna do, but we talked about SEO, put GameStop in it. You could be milking a goat, you would still probably get views because GameStop.
I thought it said Goat Stop. I was like, Goat Stop.
And people have really got it. There's a lot of people doing the challenge with me, so that's been a lot of fun. Those two, and then Is This Still Online? I've actually got a pretty good handful of games that we're gonna be amazed to find out are still online, and at certain times,
cool.
there's still lobbies, and you can go back to these things and have a great time
Andy's
with
good
them.
at the call to actions. Andy's good at like getting people to comment and talk to him. I want to start a conversation with you in the comments, and the interaction on his channel blows my mind, because
I just don't.
And it's because I genuinely do. I think
Yeah.
even a lot of trolls that show up, and this is the thing that all
He
creators
will
deal
sweet
with.
talk a troll.
Ooh, he will sweet talk a
Well,
troll.
sometimes they just want to be talked to. They don't think you're going to say anything back, you know?
They're like, oh, I was just bullshitting, sorry.
I literally had that comment. I literally had them say, oh, well, honestly, the video wasn't that bad. I mean, I kind of liked it when you
Talk them down, that's
make
great.
a loud noise.
That's really funny that you say
It's like,
that.
well,
'cause
welcome to the
there's-
party.
There was someone left a comment more recently, and they said it was like very generic. It was like, well, this sucks. But that's what he said. Well, this sucks. And I was like, I'm just gonna write back and say, hey, let me know what sucks, because I want to know. And I wrote, and they were like, oh, well, you know, in that one part where you said this, like I kind of thought you'd expand on it, so that sucked. I was like, so then the whole video did suck. Like,
Right.
It was really that one thing.
one little
You
thing.
could have
know,
just taken
someone-
that one
But
thing.
he actually had like a normal. It wasn't like this like bad back and forth. He was like normal. It was a normal conversation, but it started off with "this sucks." And I had someone say, "You have a dumb face." That didn't turn into a good conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't know where you go with "you have a dumb face." I'm like, I'm born with this face. I can't change my face.
No, you can't.
I think your channel's killing it and will continue to kill it. And
I
again,
think so too.
the quality of production level, your production level is. If you go back and look at Murr's channel 4 years ago, it's the same type of content, but the production level he has just taught himself everything.
I had a
he
lot
needs
to
know.
learn.
He's got fucking gimbal cameras and he's doing dolly shots.
He's incredibly good at what he's doing, and it's so nice. Look, it sounds so good. The editing,
Well, I get inspired by other creators
When he-
too,
when
because
he
I've had
first
to
started-
learn from not knowing. You've
I
inspired
helped
me a
him.
lot
I
with what you know.
edited the video for him. I did a my style video for Andy's
Stuff
channel,
like
and
you've
it
done is
Did not
incredible.
go well.
Overthink, you've got amazing camera work and everything, and what you do, even just when you're just talking and talking about everything,
He's
it
got
looks
the best
great.
legs.
We've got Mr. Right Way, we got Steve and Zap Crystal here
Yeah,
with us.
they're
You guys are
incredible
slaying
content
on
makers.
quality. Love y'all's editing and
Steve makes
upload
good
frequency
stuff.
too. Yeah.
Steve's got motion cap action on his channel over there.
I watch his Twitch streams from
avatars
time
and
to
things.
time, so it's always learning about what's the next thing you can do and what am I not improving that I need to be improving next time. But I'm staying my course, like I said, until first quarter next year, and then I've got a couple aces in the hole I might pull out if we don't meet that sub goal. Nothing too risky, and then I've always got my Hail Mary that I can throw into the end zone and get that touchdown. Always
Very
thinking
fast.
ahead. There's always the fail safe, but I think we're on track to
I
meet
love
that
that
goal.
you're thinking
He's
so far
dude, he
ahead.
is
I
the-
don't at all.
You
I'm
should
like
see
the
our
one
text
video-
chats, 'cause he's just like, tell me what to do, and I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I hate it. I'm gonna do me. And then